Okay, today I don't have a video or an article, uh, just a galactic background. I've been watching a lot of debunk videos lately, and a lot of shows from the line, and there's people who make videos about how evolution is false and the Earth is flat and space is fake or we didn't land on the moon. There's an endless list of stuff that people say, and people who call the shows. All of these things that they say, most of the time, if they're right, would mean that science doesn't work. If you think that science doesn't work, let's just take, for example, you don't think that evolution is the thing that actually happened. Well, all of biology depends on our understanding of evolution. We have thousands of drugs that were developed because we understand how viruses become new strains of viruses, new species of viruses that can't be killed by the previous drugs. And we have to modify our drugs to kill the new viruses or bacteria or whatever the cause is. If evolution didn't happen, then we wouldn't need a new drug. The same old viruses and bacteria would be killed by the old drugs. We know this is not true because we have to keep developing new drugs. And since we can look through a microscope and see that this is a different virus that probably has a common ancestor with the previous virus, and the more we know about the relationship to the previous viruses or bacteria, then the more information we have to manufacture the new drug. So we know that evolution works on bacteria and viruses. But we breed cats and dogs for a certain trait. We know that they evolved because dogs are not gray wolves. But anyway, I go through all the details and stuff like that all the time. I just have to ask y'all one question. If you don't think that science works, and science is using the same process to understand evolution and the cosmos and bonding of elements to make molecules and all of this stuff, how do you have a cell phone? Okay, I know all you people who call the shows and make these videos about evolution being fake or false or it just didn't happen. I know you've all got cell phones. This is a cell phone. It's very complicated. It's got a state of the art computer inside. It's got a very nice screen that we couldn't have made without science. There's more processing power in this cell phone than NASA had when they launched the Saturn V. Of course, if you don't think that space is real, you won't believe in Saturn V either. Also, in your cell phone, if you're using that to navigate, which I know a lot of you are, when you get in your car, which is also a thing that couldn't exist without science. If you think cars that could exist without science, maybe some of you understand the very basics of cars and engines and how these things work. Maybe you think that's not science. But the more modern cars are more and more dependent upon science. You have cars with multiple computers. All of your modern cars now have multiple computers that have to talk to each other for your car to go down the road. Your cell phone, if you're using it to navigate, use a GPS to pinpoint where you are on the surface of the planet, the globe planet. You may say, okay, sure, like all that could work with cell towers. Well, we had GPS receivers before we had cell phones. Because we had satellites in geostationary orbit. And you have to be able to see at least 4 of those satellites with your receiver to get an accurate location on the surface. That is science using the same methods that biology and evolution use. So you're going to somehow or another go through your life navigating by GPS with your cell phone that both continue to be developed by science methods that were used to understand evolution. So all of you out there who are claiming that evolution doesn't work, put down your cell phones and turn off your computers. Stop driving your cars, whether they're electric or gasoline or diesel. Stop driving those cars because you don't believe in science. So how do cars work? Well, you may say that you don't need to understand how your car works to drive it, which is true. But you have to stand on the shoulders of giants, and I'm sure you've heard that statement over and over, to be able to have a car. A few hundred years of understanding how things work resulted in you being able to get in your car that you don't understand and drive down the road using a fuel that you don't understand that could only be extracted and refined because science works. Which leads you to another piece of science that especially young creationists continue to cite, that radiometric dating does not work. First, they start with carbon dating and saying that carbon dating doesn't work because you can only date stuff back to 10,000 years. That's if they admit you can do that. But we're radiometrically dating things for millions of years. Well, I got news for you. We have more isotopes of different elements for radiometrically dating things older than 10,000 years. So maybe you don't understand that in order to find oil or coal or whatever deposits we mine to make fuels or plastics or alloys for computer parts, phone parts, screen parts, battery parts, solar panel parts, all that stuff can be found because prospectors who find these resources use radiometric dating to find the layers of materials that they're looking for. We couldn't have found vast pools of oil if we didn't understand how to follow the layers of substrate. So you're driving around with a fuel that you don't understand that can only be made because radiometric dating works. I'm sure some of the earlier people who discovered coal and oil wells just started digging somewhere and managed to find some. Or it was laying on the surface and maybe if we dig, we'll find more. But I guarantee you, as science advanced, we found more ways to find bigger resources, bigger pools of oil, bigger mountain full of coal. Just because science works. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of stuff that you use in your daily life that you only have because science works. Think of all the plastic stuff you have. This toy, this Megamix, is made of plastic, polymers that we put together and molded because science works. This is a very advanced piece of toy right here. All these little pieces are manufactured by the millions. Using injected molding. So it's pretty complicated stuff. The parts were designed on a computer assisted drafting. Those parts were sent to some sort of machine that turns plans into parts. The molds were made by those processes, and then the parts are mass produced. All of the machines involved only there because science works. We just have thousands and thousands of items in the modern world that are only here because science works. So, if you think the evolution didn't happen, the scientific consensus is that it has happened. And natural selection is one of the main processes by which that evolution has occurred. If you think you're not an ape, and you're right, but the scientific consensus is wrong, well, I'm sorry. Why do you think that Anyway, I could make the ad populum fallacy at this point, but um, that wouldn't convince anybody. It's just amazing that we all have the same limb structure as all the other great apes. But never mind evolution. All of you conspiracy theorists out there who think that the earth is flat and you're using your GPS every day thinking that GPS could work on cell towers. And I saw a snippet from a video yesterday where a guy said, just blatantly came right out and lied that, yeah, GPS doesn't work out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, it does. There's nowhere on the surface of the planet where GPS doesn't work unless somebody's jamming it. You happen to be hidden behind a mountain range where you can't see 4 satellites. Sure. Might have a few spotty places where it doesn't work. But most of you experience working GPS. And then you're going to say that the earth is flat. That's just crazy to me. How many of you people who think the earth is flat are going to go check the weather before you go on a trip or go outside or ride your motorcycle? Are there flat earthers that ride motorcycles? Because I guarantee you, people who ride motorcycles check the weather. And how are you going to check the weather if there's no weather satellites? Boy, those weather satellites keep showing us the cloud patterns so we can predict where the weather's going to occur. And we combine that with radar to understand what kind of precipitation is going on at this moment. But we predict what precipitation is going to occur by understanding the cloud layers. And we can only understand the cloud layers fully by taking pictures of them from space with geostationary satellites, 20-something thousand miles above the surface of the planet, parked in orbit, taking regular photographs of the cloud layers so that those pictures can be fed to all the hundreds or thousands of meteorologists who show up on your TV every day to tell you whether it's going to rain this afternoon. Or just leave your umbrella at home since you don't believe that science works. Maybe you think it can all be done by radar from ground stations. Sure, that can tell us what rain is occurring right now. But you're forgetting about the prediction that we make looking at the cloud layers. We can see hurricanes forming in the mid-Atlantic, heading towards the east coast of the United States. How do we do that? Are there cell towers in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? Well, of course not. Are there balloons hovering over the Atlantic Ocean taking pictures of the cloud layers? No. If the earth is flat, how in the hell are you going to take photographs of the cloud layers so we can see where there's a hurricane coming? Well, it's because the Earth is not flat and we have geostationary weather satellites parked over the surface of the planet, taking pictures of those cloud layers all the time, every day. You don't even need a meteorologist. You can go on any of hundreds of weather services on the internet yourself and look at the cloud layers yourself, and they'll show you the legends of the high pressure and the low pressure, where the precipitation is probably going to occur. Sure, that information came from a meteorologist, but you don't have to talk to the guy. You can just go look at the site on the internet. And don't even try to tell me that the internet exists without science working. Just disconnect now, since you don't believe in science. Y'all need to put it down below here. Leave me a comment. Explain to me how the thing you believe works without science. Okay? Just do that for me. Love you, bye.